Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's 1 Million by 1 Million Strategy Roundtable for Entrepreneurs. 1M, as you know, is the first global virtual accelerator for technology startups in the world. Our mission is to help 1 million entrepreneurs reach $1 million and beyond globally and build $1 trillion in global GDP and 10 million jobs. In support of that mission, we've been doing these free mentoring roundtables since the fall of 2008. This is the 692nd session. Over 300,000 people have participated in these from all over the world, and it's been fascinating learning about all corners of the world, what's happening in different parts of the world. Today, we're going to start the session with a conversation with Amir Kabir, founding partner at Overlook Ventures. Amir, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me today. Appreciate the invite.
So Amir, since this is the first time we are meeting, let's
Sure.
start with a bit of an overview of Overlook Ventures as well as your background. We get to know each other a bit.
That would be great. Yeah, happy to do so. So where do we start? Maybe from the beginning. I think that's probably the most interesting part. I'm originally from Iran, but my parents immigrated to Germany when I was a kid. So I grew up in Germany for most of my life. And since I can remember, I love to build things. So I built my own computer when I was a teenager, and that kind of translated into the love for building businesses. And I started businesses, one in e-commerce to begin with, and then I was part of a software startup very early on, where we built business communication management software. That was back in the day still on premise. We didn't know what cloud and SaaS is. It was like 2007, 8, 9, where Oracle and Siebel were very famous. And so we built that company, and that company was eventually acquired by Actuate here in San Mateo, which is now part of OpenText.
Yeah.
And I basically, 12 years ago, immigrated to the US independent from the acquisition, to kind of start a new life here and figure out if first of all the American dream is true, and second, what the tech ecosystem looks like, and so on and so forth. So I landed in DC, and basically started my career on the venture side right off the bat. I was part or worked for a fund called Route 66 Ventures, which was very early on investing in the broader financial services ecosystem. I was part of the team there for quite some time, and then moved over to San Francisco 10 years ago, and have been here since. It's my 10-year anniversary. I just posted it on LinkedIn, which is crazy to believe. Time is flying by so fast these days. And for the past 10 years, I was part of the team who built out a Munich Re's venture arm. I was number 3 on the team there when we started with $50 million. And when I left 6 years later, we had over $1 billion under management and invested in all sorts of companies within the broader financial services ecosystem. Then I was a GP at an early stage fund, AV8, where I helped build out the practice there, always with an eye to, start my own fund, and resigned last year, and have embarked on this journey to start my own fund, which is Overlook Ventures, actively fundraising, but however have already made several investments, and I'm lucky enough to have support from amazing founders and GPs from the ecosystem here in Silicon Valley. So that's a little bit about the background.
How
Very
big a fund is Overlook Ventures' first fund going to settle at?
Yes, the goal is to get up to $30 million. That's the goal. We have, committed quite amount some today, but actively fundraising as we speak.
Okay. And what is the investment thesis of
Sure,
Overlook Ventures?
sure. So I believe two things are true in this world, right? One is that technology is always evolving. Today it's AI. We're probably going to talk about that a little bit more. And tomorrow it's something else. And I think with that, or I believe with that, risk is always emerging and evolving as well, right? And I've spent the last 10 years investing within the broader risk or risk management space, understanding, financial services risk, insurance risk, and related risks. And I've spent the last 25 plus years, either building myself or partnering up with founders at the earliest stages and helping them build their companies. I had 18 board seats or board observer seats over my career to date. And so Overlook Ventures' thesis is to invest at the intersection of risk, data, and tech, which on the one hand is looking at companies that are developing new risk products, which could be in insurance or financial services, or even a newer like Web3 product, right? And on the other hand, looking at companies that have some sort of an interesting data or infrastructure mode they can help you better manage or measure risk. As examples I give there, you know, one of the latest investments I made is in a company that has developed a machine learning model to detect deep fakes within voice. And the way I think about the world is that, what does the future look like, and what kind of risks are going to emerge there, and how can technology help today to learn about that risk? And so I believe, for example, voice is going to be a dominant medium in the future. We will use our voice much more than we do today, right? Starting from authentication to, not only communicating with humans, but communicating with machines and so on and so forth. So the risk there, is imminent, and how can startups, solve that problem today, or how can we invest in that? That's an example. And on the other hand, looking at traditional risk products as an insurance product, I invested in a company that has developed a full stack, insurance carrier in Mexico with the first digital native auto insurance product. And I believe that the market there is very ripe and interesting right now to serve the population with new digital products when it comes down to insurance and financial services. So that gives you kind of a sense of what I'm
Sense, yeah.
looking for and what I'm interested in.
Amir, what about stage? What are
Yeah.
you thinking about?
Most basically Overlook basically invest, or me personally, at any seed stage, right? Pre-seed to seed or seed plus. I basically call it ahead of product market fit, right? So really interested in founders first and foremost, and then also in what they're building and what products they're building and what solutions they have. So I think throughout my career, a lot of founders always ask, what is your revenue threshold? I don't have a revenue threshold. I don't believe that revenue is an indicator of success at the earliest stages.
So you fund concepts?
I fund concepts as well, but it has to be a very, very thoughtful team. The three things that I'm kind of looking for when I evaluate a startup, amongst others, is first and foremost the team. Who are you? Why do you wake up every morning to solve this problem? And when I look at the investments I've made and the investments that I'm looking at right now, every founder basically is solving a problem that they have experienced somehow, right? And with that, they have some sort of a unique insights that they bring to the table that not everybody can have, right? And I think these are the three things. And on top of that, from the founding team perspective, I'm really interested in technical teams. At least one of the co-founders, if it's one founder, he or she himself has to be kind of technical enough to build a product. So these are the things I'm looking for. So yeah, it could be a concept stage.
So, the domain that you want to invest in, or you are investing in, risk, data-driven risk products and so forth, requires people who are working in some domain-specific use cases around all that. Otherwise, you don't really have insights into the problems to solve, right?
Correct. That's
Kind
right.
of need to be inside an insurance company or some other place where financial services company where that risk is in action and problems are visible so that people are solving those problems. So are we saying that your target audience of founders are slightly older founders who have experience?
Actually, no, like most of the founders are young. So maybe to clarify there, um, I'm not only interested in companies within the insurance or financial services world. As I mentioned, the last company that is developing the model to detect deep fakes in voice has not so much to do anything with financial services or insurance, right? It's mostly a deep technical team that has developed similar models before, has worked on this problem before, right? However, the customers of that startup could be financial services companies, as they, have call centers that they could use that product for, right? Um, so when it comes down, the way I think about, and it's a good question. When it comes down to regulated markets, right? I think interest is not enough, because there's so many other things that are important that you have to understand within that regulated
You need
market.
real domain knowledge to be able to
Correct.
understand what to build. I mean,
Correct.
the
Correct. Yeah.
deepfake example is almost an outlier, but there is a lot of opportunity for doing agentic stuff and and analytic stuff, machine learning stuff within the risk domain in financial services, in health, in insurance,
Correct.
all of these. But to know those, you have to be in those workflows.
Correct. So it doesn't mean you have to be older in terms of, a
You
founding or
have to be
founding.
experienced, older or
Correct.
not. I mean, I'm not talking about ancient. I'm talking about people with some years of experience working inside companies.
100%, because, I think that's in general, when you think about companies, obviously there's outliers. I think most of them happen on the consumer side, because it's a much different, founding experience on the consumer side than it is on the enterprise side, right? When you think about the Instagrams and the Facebooks and the
Right.
Snapchats, I don't think you need experience to do that.
No.
It's more an understanding of the consumer and
Yeah.
maybe of concepts. But on the enterprise side, I believe, like, if you want to build a sustainable product, you need to somehow understand, how these enterprises work. What are the barriers to entry? What is, what is working, what is not? And specifically in regulated markets, tech enough will not help you succeed, right? And so these are the things that I'm looking for.
Mm. And when you say you are looking for primarily technical founders, or
Mhm.
at least one of the co-founders being technical,
Correct.
what is your experience of finding technical people who are inside of um, companies with visibility into the problems, being able to pick up what to build? Or is it necessarily a business person who identifies the problem and brings a technology
No,
person along?
no. I mean, when you think about, good examples here, and looking at the founders I have to date, some of them, for example, have worked at newer companies, right? Think about, someone who has worked for on the product side for Chime, which just recently went public, right? It's not very old company. They might have seen something within their world that, you know, uh, could have been done better, can be done better, and they basically decide to start a company, right? Um, other entrepreneurs might have spent time in other companies and have seen, problems, and that could be like earlier companies too. Like, could be someone that is leaving a Series C company and has seen, the industry a little bit, has seen, the products, and now wants to build by himself or by herself.
Mm. I'm probing this a little bit because this is a conversation that is actually happening in digital water coolers right now, LinkedIn being the number one of those, is, you know, as you pointed out, the Facebooks and the Snapchats and the Instagrams of the world have been built by very young founders. But
Yes.
when you look at building heavy duty enterprise systems, you need to understand what to build. And for that, you need to have seen those problems in action somewhere. So the,
100%.
the
And specifically also selling into these enterprises, right? I mean, selling into a regulated enterprise market like banking, insurance, healthcare,
yeah,
whatever that might be, it's just such a different endeavor,
so
right?
different, yes.
And I always, when I meet founders that are so ambitious and like really want to build something and are so passionate about it, I'm like, hey man, like you need to really think about like how this going to play out, right? Because a lot of them don't really understand how these, bigger enterprises work.
What is your check size?
Yeah, so check size can be anywhere from like 100,000 K to up to $1 million. And trying to be very early. And I'm also writing agent checks if it has to be earlier than that. So very flexible there. Really trying to find, really amazing founders that are excited about the problem that they're solving, have some experience there, and really have a differentiated product or go-to-market strategy that can be compelling.
So you said you were looking for three things. Number one is the founder and really the founder
Sure.
problem fit kind of. What are the
100%.
what are the other two things that you're looking for?
Yeah, so the other two would be, which is related, is that you have spent time in that sector that you're trying to solve that problem in, right? Or the product that you're building. And with that, I think the third thing is like either comes deep market knowledge because you have spent time there, and or unique insights that not everybody can have, right?
Okay.
And so these are the things that are important to me.
So all of it is really the founder and domain knowledge, which makes
Correct.
complete sense because if you are going to focus on risk as your primary investment thesis and applications of AI and data and technology into the risk domain, risk is not a domain that people can work in
Yes,
without deep domain knowledge. It's just not
that's right.
doable.
That's right. That's right.
So, what about geography? You said you invested in Mexico. So, are you
Yeah.
looking at a global investment thesis?
Look, no, I think I would fool myself to say that I can look at everything in the world. However, I am mostly focused on the US or just on companies that are at least incorporated in the US from the investment perspective. And so this company within Mexico is a unique opportunity. They are operating in Mexico, however, and are incorporated in the US. And I believe there is a tremendous opportunity within Latin America when it comes down to risk and risk-related businesses, as there is a lot of, things happening within the broader market there in terms of shifting demographics and shifting buyer sentiment and so on and so forth, growing middle class, more appetite for digital products. And so I believe there's an opportunity to invest in the next decacorn within Latin America. So I'm very much interested to learn there and meet founders that are building within that geography. And so that's kind of the focus. I'm not. I think it's very, very hard to invest as a solo GP sitting in San Francisco in a company that is in India, that a company that is in Africa, is a company that is in Asia. As much as I think, there's very smart people out there building interesting and great stuff. It's
It's
just going to
not
be
easy
really
to invest in Latin America either, right? Finding
uh,
those entrepreneurs who in Latin America who have understanding of risk
correct.
in Latin
Correct.
America is not an easy task.
It is not. So I'm fortunate to, be connected and have a network within the Latin American region
Mhm.
where I basically get into these deals differently. So it's not that I travel there and like, spend a month there to figure out. It's more a founder base I have. It's more an investor base I have. And so it's a more collaborative approach there.
I see. Okay. All right. And how are you looking at AI? What is your, analysis of AI? What are the assumptions? I mean, there's one set of believers within AI who are betting on AGI becoming available relatively soon, and that soon, the definition of soon varies from people to people, and the impact of AGI on vertical AI in particular, which is what your investment thesis is. How are you thinking about these problems?
Yeah, look, I mean, as I mentioned, AI is now the newest hype cycle, and everybody's focused on it. And I believe, it's obviously a very big topic, and I think people compare that to, the start of the internet in general, and other kind of, bigger um, uh, milestones that we have when it comes down to technology. Um, I, I don't really focus so much on like, hey, are you an AI company first or vertical AI? I think when you look at any deck today, everybody's saying they have some sort of an AI. But
Yes.
if you dig a little bit deeper, you see that it's actually not really AI, right? So it's just, framed as an AI. Um, I believe like, when kind of this whole wave started, a lot of, you know, uh, investors were focused on, the large language models and the bigger platforms, right? And now everybody's focused on the application layer, which is similar what I do, and I look into that space as well. It has become very, very crowded. It has become very, very difficult to understand why AI for compliance for banking with company name X is different than AI for compliance for banking with company name Y, right? And so that's what I mentioned also in the beginning, that technology is not going to be really the winner, I feel here, because AI is becoming ubiquitous, right? And the winners will be those that have some sort of an proprietary go-to-market strategy and try and
Proprietary domain
convince
knowledge.
proprietary domain knowledge too,
I
which
think
basically
I
translates
think
into proprietary
proprietary
go-to.
domain knowledge is going to be the driving factor in and you are focusing on something that is completely the underpinning of your investment thesis is proprietary domain knowledge. You cannot do
Correct.
this without proprietary domain knowledge.
Correct. And what that leads to proprietary go-to-market, because you understand that market so well and you probably have the stakeholders and can get to them faster to sell, right? Because
And you
it's
have the
interesting.
credibility to be taken seriously in customer
Correct.
conversations.
Correct. Because again, I've spent a lot of time with like larger insurance companies and financial services companies. And I've seen that, tech is good, but tech is not the winning argument, right? And there is other things that, have played a role. And I believe that's still going to be the case going forward as well.
Yeah.
Because again, it's going to be really, really hard to understand why your tech is better going forward, because everything is just nuanced these days, I feel.
Yeah. Okay, well, I think that's, we started by my asking you this question: what are young founders at a disadvantage? Unfortunately, inexperienced founders are at a bit of a disadvantage right now. So somebody asked me this question on LinkedIn this morning, or maybe I saw the question this morning, I hadn't answered it. It's like, what do you recommend for students who are trying to do you recommend that they jump in and start a company? And that was true when I was a young founder. I did jump in and started a company, and ironically I started an AI company, but that's not what I necessarily recommended to her. And I said, because you need to understand what to build, what to automate, what to apply AI to, you need to be in the throes of problem domains. So pick a problem domain that you want to develop, expertise in and go, work in that domain so that you get some depth in understanding what problems to solve. Without that, differentiated advantage, it's not clear what are you going to build. And I see these student founders doing a lot of ed tech. That's something where they do have domain knowledge. They have just come through school, so they have some perspective on what they need. And ed tech is a domain where these kids generally have some understanding and value, but enterprise certainly not.
I hear you on that. Yes, I think I would say there's a caveat, right? If you're young, when I think about if I would be again 20, 21 years old, you can lose 2 years of your life and build something. I think you learn a lot and you have not much to lose, right? So you might not be successful, but I think you have a lot of learnings. The question is, does it make more sense, as you said, to go and work for another company? And will you learn more there or not? I think you will. Just in general, also how to,
At the moment, I think this point in history is a
yes,
point where domain knowledge is incredibly valuable. Maybe this is going to change, AGI coming, AGI is going to change things around. At the moment, the emphasis is on vertical AI, it's on domain specific AI, and the opportunities require domain knowledge. So that's just currently, that's the situation.
correct.
In the beginning of the
Correct.
internet, that was not necessarily the situation. E-commerce was new and anybody could do e-commerce. Nobody
Correct.
knew anything about e-commerce.
It's actually a funny topic because my first company was an e-commerce company. I didn't also know what I was doing.
Yeah, and my third company was an e-commerce company. I didn't know what I was doing, but that didn't matter.
Exactly. It was easy to learn, but I think also there, going back to what I said before, because it was consumer focused, it was a different kind of, time and topic as well, right? And so it was easier to get by without knowing what e-commerce is.
Yeah. Okay, well, Amir, great to know you and look forward to continuing the conversation in due course. We're
Thanks,
going to,
Tamara.
are you staying for we're going to listen to an investor pitch? Would you like to stay or do you have another meeting?
I have another meeting that I have to go to, but I really
No problem.
appreciate you having me here and looking forward to staying in touch.
All right, take care. Thank you for
Thank you.
coming.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Maureen, I don't have control of the presentation anymore, so I'm having difficulty bringing on board the presenters. So help me out here. Vedansh is the presenter, yes?
Hi, Shramana. I think there are some technical issues at my end. I have not been able to join through my desktop client. And the video feed also, while I'm speaking, it's coming and going. So there is some issue.
Did you send in your slides?
I did. Yes, I did send in my slides. It's with Maureen, I guess.
So let me try to get us to your slides.
Sure.
Yeah, I have your slides.
One sec, Shramana. I'm trying to upload his slides. If you could
But
just
this is
wait.
not Vedansh Legit is not his slide deck?
I sent an updated deck to Maureen. I just sent it. It's like a small file, 3 MB file. I sent it to her.
Okay, why don't you do that while I just set the expectations?
Are you seeing some other slide decks, Shramana?
No, in your main presentation, his slides are in there.
Oh, it's just the first slide.
The first word.
Yeah,
Okay.
you could bring that up. But let me see. Is it? It's loading.
So, folks, just while we are dealing with getting Vedansh's updated slide deck on, let me set expectations. This is a safe working session. You don't need to be nervous or defensive about pitching here. The only agenda is for us to work together and figure out some solutions to your roadblocks and problems. So no worries, don't get nervous. This is fine. What you listen to here, it's really up to you on what you're going to do with it. If you disagree with my feedback, that's your prerogative. This is your venture. So we are going to start with Vedansh.
It's not allowing me to bring up his slides so I could share my screen, I think. But then I don't see any other way to do this. It will not allow these slides. I'm not sure what was with your deck, but I had a lot of problems with it too.
Okay, let's do this. Vedansh, you have your slides, right, on your screen?
Yeah, okay, I'll have to open it. Just give me a moment. I'll try to open it here on my system.
How many slides do you have?
7 slides. I've sent a new updated slide. So it's just like 7 slides.
Can you try to screen share?
Yes, I'm just doing that. Just a moment.
We normally don't do that here, but we're gonna make an exception.
Yeah, sure. No issues. Yeah, I think I would be in a position to share it now. I am not able to share content. It says you can't share content unless the host, a co-host, a presenter makes you the presenter.
Okay, Maureen, is that possible? There you.
Vedansh, you're the presenter now.
Okay, just give me a moment. Okay.
For those of you who are in the room, if you like, you can introduce yourselves in the public chat and we can also start talking to you a little bit. And if you would like to talk to me today, let Maureen know. She will make you a panelist and you would be able to also converse in today's session as soon as Vedansh finishes his presentation. So go ahead, Vedansh, present your thing.
So is my slide deck visible?
Yes, your slide deck is visible.
Okay, is it the only thing visible on the screen, or can you also see my notes?
No, we don't see your notes. We see the slides.
Okay, this is fine. Thank you for giving me this opportunity, Shramna. So I'm Vedansh Pandey, born and raised in Rishikesh, India.
Okay.
I've watched millions of pilgrims, vendors, and riders struggle in a market that big tech ignores. So today we are fixing that with AnythingLegit. Now, what we are trying to do is, like, when a tourist lands in a tier 2, tier 3 city in India, every basic task from finding a ride, meal, guide, it actually turns into a treasure hunt. Vendors stay invisible, gig riders sit idle, and trust is zero. Now, we are trying to solve this problem. So we are an ecosystem of apps, 3 apps actually: Legit Hero, Legit Biz, and AnythingLegit, that offers one super app that instantly matches the delivery system. So we have chosen our MVS where the pain is sharpest and customer acquisition cost is lowest. Those are like tourists in high density pilgrimage towns, hotel adjacent vendors starving for digital reach, and young bike owners craving safe, stable gigs. So we are trying to target these people. Now, how are we trying to actually acquire our customers is through creating a dashboard for hotels. So we have always had concierge services. So we want to offer our services through the concierges in hotels. And also we are partnering with government departments so that we can onboard data, like a lot of street vendors and all. They are linked with the Ministry of Urban Housing and Development, and through RTI requests, so that our customer acquisition costs can come down. Of course, we have digital viral loops like credit campaigns, influencer reels, so on and so forth. Now, to this date, we have about 30 daily paying customers, and we are the only startup in the state of Uttarakhand to receive the aggregator license, alongside big behemoths like Uber, Ola's, and Rapidos. So we are the only startup which received the license. We have a pan-India license for food deliveries, and we have about 30 onboarded vendors and a rider fleet of about 50 verified riders. And we have also received a grant in terms of credits from Microsoft Startups Hub. We've received like 50,000 USD grant. We are also recognized by Google for startups and Startup India program. So these are like some of my key questions, like what should we do? Should we target like the breadth of the market, or should we like go city wise? Now, of course, like here is an interesting thing which I came across, that most of the funded startups across the world are in US. So would it be an option for us to think about relocating and sort of incorporating our company in the
No,
US?
absolutely not. You're doing a B2C India facing company. You
Right,
definitely should not relocate to India, to the US. You have to B2C companies. India facing B2C is all built out of India. That is not
right,
built out of the US.
right.
Now, let's try to understand, what is your business model? How do you make money? When you say you
Sure.
have 30 customers, what does that mean? Who's paying what, and what are these customers? What kinds of customers?
Sure. Thank you so much for asking me this question. So we have an ecosystem of apps from now. One is like the customer facing AnythingLegit app, which is about customer finding all these services. So once a customer books any service from our app, we charge a very small commission, 3% to 4% from the customers over and above the cost, which they are shown on the app. Similarly, we have a vendor app, which is like a super app for the vendors, providing them POS system integrations. So we actually charge a small commission from these vendors for getting their services booked through our platform, and we also charge our gig workers a small fee, again in the range of 2 to 3%. That is per transaction, and we have a subscription model as well, where we are offering POS systems to our business vendors, and also helping them to create their own identity online. So we offer these POS subscription systems for a nominal cost of 199 rupees per month. So this is our big business model right now.
So
We've
you're
just
doing too
launched.
many things. One of your questions is, you're going too broad. You are going too broad. There's too much stuff going on. So
Okay.
what is your current validation saying about paying customers? What of all this are customers willing to pay for?
Sure. So we were initially a transport app when we launched like 8 months back. So most of our revenue has come through bike taxi rides. Like in the hilly areas, what really happens is that the cars cannot go to places where bikes can go to, and there was no service like this here in Rishikesh. So most of our rides and word of mouth, it actually came through our bike taxi rides. We just pivoted to like a super app where we have all these services. And
But why? Why are you doing that?
yes, why we're trying to do this is like, one thing we realize, like it's a heavily operational business, and secondly, the margins are really low. So we learned it the hard way. Like none of the companies which are operating in the aggregator space right now are making profits in India. All of them are in losses, and there have been really sad stories. Like Gensol was a company which was there, which like sort of just burst up, and we realized that the revenue model is very skewed, and the large like burn costs which we'll have to spend. So we wanted to make an agile system. The transportation system is still on, it's our base layer, but that sort of enables everything. And we also want to solve this problem for the business owners, just not for the customers or tourists, because these vendors now, with the launch of giants like quick commerce giants like Blinkit and Zepto, what's really happening is that these small vendors are taking a hit. And they don't have delivery services, they don't have an online discovery platform, they don't have any system to track their inventory both on online and offline channels. So we thought like we have to solve this problem as well.
Vedansh, you
Yes.
can't solve so many problems. I would like you to, good businesses, solid businesses are built by solving one problem really well and at scale. And that problem better not be a very operationally intensive and low margin business. So,
Right.
for example, and I'll counter that by saying there have been very successful companies in India that are in operationally heavy, low margin businesses. Rideshare is not a operationally not complex business, especially the way people do it in India.
Right.
The delivery, Zomato and all these are, Blinkit, these are all operationally complex businesses, but I don't think that's where you should go. That market is played out. When they were doing, none of this was in the market. So people were, and it was a different market in the sense that people were taking chances on things like this, and a lot of money was coming into it. But what has happened since then, in the last 10 years, let's say, is that there have been a lot of failures.
Right.
So Indian venture capital market was a lot less savvy 10 years back. And in 10 years, there's been more experience and there's more understanding of what are the dynamics and what makes for successful businesses. So I would feel a lot better if you kind of let go of this trying to do too many things and pick one thing, one problem to solve that has good unit economics. And what is unit economics? Unit economics is something that people are willing to pay for a good amount of money that gives you good margin to fulfill the need that you're going out to fulfill. So if you look at all the things that you're trying to do, name the one problem that you could be solving that has those dynamics. What is that problem? You haven't thought about it this way.
Yeah, I think if I would have to choose that one problem, it will be like I'm solving the problems for marketplaces instead of just one single vendor. What we are trying to do is bringing marketplaces alive and enabling with all the services which they are needing. So I think
What
that would be
marketplaces?
like local marketplaces. Like there is a laundry shop just next to us, but it's not discoverable. Whenever someone new comes, they would never know that they have a shop next to them. So his revenue.
Laundry shops cannot build their
I'm
businesses
so
on
sorry.
top.
Yeah, what I'm just trying to say is like instead of just that is just an example of a service. There could be like I live in Rishikesh. It's like a international yoga capital. Yoga industry is booming. They don't have a platform to put their services online. So this modular app gives us this option to help people discover. But our primary problem is the small vendors which are facing the onslaught by big giants like Blinkit and Zepto. So we want to aggregate them and provide them with the solutions like POS system, online discoverability, international payment gateway, so they can become savvy.
Well, that's an incredibly difficult business. Customer acquisition costs are very high. Customer servicing costs are very high. Customer education costs are very high. That does not fulfill the dynamics of what I suggested. Finding something that has good unit economics. I don't think this problem, to solve this problem, is not going to be a good unit economics problem to solve. But
Yes, so I would like to share, like we have identified certain areas. If you just give me a moment, I would like to share or maybe just read it out for you. So we have identified.
Just talk about it. You don't need to show me anything. You don't have really anything to show. Just talk through it.
Sure, just a moment. So we have identified high margin niche areas like firstly licensing and compliance as a service. So most of these business vendors need various licenses like FSSAI license, food license, operating as a hotel. So they are not able to find any solution for that. Secondly, we are wanting to get guides on our platform. Like there is no single app which can get guides on one single platform. It's not
These
operationally
are
or
all different businesses. There are too many. Your thought process is very convoluted and it's all over the place. You will not succeed with that thought process. So the thing that you need to do is kind of rein in your tendency to go do so many things and pick one thing to do. Okay, so if I'm just meeting you for the first time, I'm listening to you a little bit, but I'm already able to figure out that your thought process is completely all over the place. So I would like you to, if your target on who is the target audience is one question that you need to answer. Whose problem are you going to solve? Are you going to solve the problem of hotel owners who need licenses in second tier, third tier cities, whether it's pilgrimage cities or other kind of cities with good tourist destinations, so forth? That is a segmentation. You have to identify a segment whose problem you're going to solve, and then that is what you build the business around, and you try to understand that business. But the way you're going, you're not going to build a successful business. Okay. So you need a complete adjustment in your thought process, first and foremost. And then you need to find one target audience and figure out what is the problem of that target audience that you want to solve. A completely different target audience would be tourists coming to pilgrim towns or small towns. Yeah. And what are their needs? What problems that solving laundry problems of tourists coming to pilgrim towns, I don't think this is a good idea. Because normally when tourists access laundry, they access it through the hotel. They're not going to go out to look for a laundry. I don't think that's how people behave.
So we're building hotel concierge systems using which the hotels will have a dashboard to access all these services. And
in that case, the hotel is your customer.
Yes.
But what is the delivery model? Are you expecting that people are going to download a hotel app? How are they going to access this thing?
So yes, so we are firstly a WhatsApp friendly, like people can just book our services through WhatsApp, the B2B businesses as well as the B2C businesses, so that they don't need to download an app. And once they have experienced like a good service, we have their data, and then we will of course market it to them and make them download our apps. So but it's not like people can use our services just by having WhatsApp on their phone.
Yeah, I don't like this business. I don't like this business. It's too all over the place. And you're a young entrepreneur. I think you would be a lot more successful if you could identify one business to solve and then solve it really cleanly, instead of trying to do so many things. Doing something with WhatsApp and then trying to convert that into app downloads. It's all very convoluted. Okay.
Yeah, I do understand that, but at the same time, I feel that there is a fuzzy logic to this. Like when we are solving for the
fuzzy logic is not what builds great businesses. Clean logic is what builds great businesses. Clean, simple logic is what builds great businesses that is highly repeatable and highly replicable. The moment you take something like this to investors, and it sounds like you're trying to raise money and all that, the investors are going to look at this and say, oh, it's too complicated. I don't want to invest in this. That's going to be your experience trying to build this business. And you're early enough, you're young enough that you don't need to do that. You'll be much better off if you choose one business to work on. Okay? And if you decide that you want help, you're welcome to join 1 Million by 1 Million. I will help you. And I'll teach you what needs to be taught through the program. The program is set up to teach people what they don't know. And there's a lot that you need to learn.
Surely.
Okay.
I would be glad to look more into the program. Thank you so much. I really appreciate this call. Speaking to a veteran in the industry like you is just like a pleasure. Getting this chance, accessibility, I really thank you for this.
You're very welcome. That accessibility is one of the principles of the 1 Million by 1 Million program, complete democratization of access to high caliber advice.
Thank you so much. We appreciate your feedback and time you've given.
You're very welcome. Maureen, could you switch this over to me so that I have control back? And are there other people in the room who wanted to talk ask questions, share what you're doing, you're very welcome to let Maureen know, and she'll put you on as a panelist. Let me see where we are. Okay, I'm going to, while we're doing that, I'm going to tell you a little bit about how to use 1 million by 1 million for those of you who are considering joining the program. Everything is at 1Mby1M.com, and as I just said to Vedansh, it is a fully global virtual accelerator that you can access from anywhere in the world. It doesn't matter whether you're in Rishikesh or Puri, it doesn't matter. You can access 1 million by 1 million. We are going to talk about the details of the program. So Premium is our full acceleration program. If you go to the website, you will see a lot more about Premium, and I encourage you to go look at the website and see what we do, how we do what we do. We offer consulting like this that you just experienced on a regular basis, weekly basis. When you are ready, we would introduce you to investors. There is a curriculum which is invaluable for young entrepreneurs or first-time entrepreneurs. It doesn't need to be young. A lot of first-time entrepreneurs in their 40s and 50s don't know what they're doing because they haven't done it before. And entrepreneurship is a steep learning curve discipline that there's a lot to learn very early in the process, and you have to somehow bridge that knowledge gap. So that's all part of Premium, 1M Premium. 1M Basic is curriculum only. So if you want to start just by learning curriculum, that would be fine too. And that's available on a monthly subscription basis. So go look at the website, see what to expect from Basic, what to expect from Premium. We do get requests for one-on-one consulting. It is available on an hourly basis. It is much more expensive. So if you are looking for something more affordable, Premium or Basic are better options for you. Free roundtables, you can come and pitch once, and then you have to switch to one of the paid programs. But you can, if you haven't pitched at the free roundtables, please feel free to take advantage of one of the slots. We have every week in July, we have free roundtables, and you are very welcome to come and pitch. If you have questions about the program, after this session, I will take questions in just a moment. I see questions coming in. I will take that in just a moment. But if you have questions about the program, Irina Patterson is also a potential person you can talk to on our team. So that's, that's the program. Let's see the question Vishnu is asking. Few questions on Premium. Your Premium program mentions about influencer marketing. Can you elaborate on it? I certainly will. Are the strategy consulting sessions similar to group roundtables? Yes. Is the curriculum for Premium and Basic same? Yes, the curriculum for Premium and Basic is the same. It's the Basic is the curriculum only. Premium includes curriculum and mentoring through these private roundtables. So yes, they're exact same format as group roundtables where you pitch and you get feedback and so forth. But it is in the private roundtables, and the recordings are not published to the public. These recordings are available on our YouTube channel, but that's not true about our Premium roundtables. And they are, in the free roundtables, you can only pitch once. In the Premium roundtables, you can pitch as many times as you need to. People come and talk to me on a regular basis to, touch base, ask questions, check, if you're doing a positioning exercise, there's homework and research and iteration involved. So, every week, every couple of weeks, there's a touch point to go through what you have made progress on and so on. So that's the format of the Premium roundtables, the strategy consulting sessions. Influencer marketing, this is interesting. So as you know, I'm a top LinkedIn influencer. And influencers have certain privileges. So let us say you are publishing content on LinkedIn and you want to amplify that content. I could help you amplify that content. If I like your content or share your content or comment on your content, you would get significant amplification. In addition, I could write about your product, and that would give you amplification. One thing we offer to our entrepreneurs is something called the 1M incubation radar for companies that are under 1 million in revenue, and 1 million deal radar that is for companies that are over 1 million in revenue. And we write about you and we showcase your company, and then we amplify that on LinkedIn. So these are all ways in which influencer marketing works. There's a thing on LinkedIn right now, I don't know if you've used it, called Thought Leader Ads. So one thing you could do is you could amplify your content through Thought Leader Ads. And if a real thought leader, somebody who is a LinkedIn influencer with big leverage, writes a piece on you and you amplify that content, paid amplification, that also helps you, in influencer marketing. So there are many different ways LinkedIn influencer marketing works, and we are very savvy and very knowledgeable about that. Tagging, for instance, is an interesting one. There could be an article about your product, and I could tag some of your prospects and draw their attention to it. So there's many different ways influencer marketing could be interesting and relevant. It really depends on your situation and what you're trying to accomplish. Make sense? Vishnu, have I answered all your questions? Yes. Okay, great. Where are you, Vishnu? Where are you dialing from? Anybody else? Any other questions? You're welcome to type in your questions. Hyderabad, India. Okay, wonderful. Okay, well, anybody else? I don't see any other hand up, so we're going to adjourn for today, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye. If you're in the program, I will see you in the premium roundtables. Bye-bye, everybody. Thanks for coming.